That brings us to Israel, which is the people of God, chapter 11, verse 21. And now it gets dark. In his place shall arise a contemptible person, a horrible person, to whom royal majesty has not been given. He has no right to be a king. He shall come in without warning and obtain the kingdom by flatteries. Armies shall be utterly swept away before him and broken, even the prince of the covenant. This person is historically known as Antiochus Epiphanes. Antiochus means God-man. What he decided is that he would be the God-man. Now, we worship Jesus Christ as the God-man. He is God become a man. What this is a man who is a demonic counterfeit. Everything that God creates, Satan counterfeits. And ultimately, this is the counterfeit Jesus. He is called by many the Antichrist of the Old Testament. History records him as rising to power around 175 BC. As was prophesied, he was not in the bloodline of a royal family. He overthrew his nephew and stole the throne. And he here talks about the overthrowing of the prince of the covenant. And what that was, there was a godly priest in the temple in Rome worshiping God, waiting for Jesus. His name was Ananias. And as a result of his devotion to God, Antiochus Epiphanes, and Epiphanes means madman. So he called himself the God-man, Antiochus. The people called him Epiphanes, the madman. He thinks he's the God-man, but he's the madman. He had the godly prince of the covenant discarded, removed as the high priest, and then a godless, demonic, pagan high priest put in his place. History records that long after Daniel died, all of this came to pass exactly as God revealed. Verse 23, and from that time in alliances made with him, he shall act deceitfully, and he shall become strong with a small people. Without warning, he shall come into the richest parts of the province, and he shall do what neither his fathers nor his fathers' fathers have done. He comes from a bloodthirsty, horrific family line, and he is the worst of the worst. Scattering among them plunder, spoil, and goods. Let me explain that in a moment. He shall devise plans against strongholds, but only for a time, and he shall stir up his power and his heart against the kings of the south with a great army. And the king of the south shall wage war with an exceedingly great and mighty army, but he shall not stand, for plots shall be devised against him. Even those who eat his food shall break him, betrayal. His army shall be swept away, and many shall fall down slain. Well, Antiochus Epiphanes, the Antichrist of the Old Testament, he was a bloodthirsty, ruthless man. And what he would do, he would enter into a peace treaty with someone, and as soon as they let their guard down, he would attack and slaughter them. That's who he was. And it says here that he would continually just roll over people. He's like Blitzkrieg of Nazi Germany. He is the Adolf Hitler of the Old Testament. He is rolling over nations, and he is trying to eradicate Jewish people from the earth, and he is trying to shut down the temple and stop the worship of God. He is a horrible, demonic man. He is filled with the power of Satan. And that ultimately, as he rolls forward and destroys nations, it says that he did something that his fathers and his fathers' fathers could not do, and that was to gain the loyalty of the people. How did he do that? It says through plunder. So here's how he worked. Think of it in this way. Let me give you a modern corollary to Antiochus Epiphanes. He ruled and reigned like a drug cartel. Drug cartels are notoriously bloodthirsty. You cannot, in any regard, believe any alliance that is formed. Everything is intrigue and betrayal. Everyone is dangerous. But in countries where people are very poor and they've been subjugated to difficult conditions, the way that a cartel leader will work is as they amass their empire, they will take some of their wealth and they will give it to the people to thereby gain the allegiance and alliance of the people. That's exactly what Antiochus Epiphanes does. He's working with the same mentality as the head of a drug cartel. He's going to do evil things and kill people, and then those who are closest to him and need him will reap some of the reward of the plunder, and as a result of this great cash haul, they will have a heart for him and protect him. That's exactly how this works. Imagine an entire government run by a drug cartel. That's Antiochus Epiphanes. It says he would grow stronger and he would march against the king of the south and win, because the man he was fighting against would ultimately be betrayed, and that was the king of Egypt. Historically, he was betrayed, and as a result, he lost a war that he should have won. Verse 27, and as for the two kings, their hearts shall be bent on doing evil. Not everybody's good. Not everybody's got a good heart. Not everybody is safe. Not everybody is loving. Not everybody is trustworthy. There are some people who are evil, and these men are evil. And as for the two kings, their hearts shall be bent on doing evil. They shall speak lies at the same table. They're going to sit down to negotiate, and they're going to try and take advantage of each other and lie to one another, but to no avail. They're never going to reach an agreement. For the end is yet to be at the appointed time, and he shall return to his land with great wealth, but his heart shall be set against the holy covenant, and he shall work his will and return to his own land. Now, historically, these two kings, they sat down literally at a table. I mean, just think of this. God says not only will these two guys sit down, they will sit down at a table, and they are both evil men trying to take advantage of each other. As a result, they will never strike a deal, and they will get up and they will move forward, marching forward with their armies. All of this happened historically. Antiochus Epiphanes is a well-known man, I should say, historically. Here's what I'm telling you. God even knows 100, 200 years in the future, two people sitting at a table. I'm telling you that God knows in that kind of specificity and detail. Jesus tells us that God knows every hair on our head. He knows every detail of human history. And what happens then is Antiochus Epiphanes, he's very frustrated because he can't get this deal. And as a result, as he's marching home, guess what? He's got to go past Israel. Again, the north and the south are constantly at war. Israel's in the middle. So if you're going from your kingdom to the other to negotiate a deal, on your way home, you're passing by Israel. And he decides, you know what? I'm going to go attack God's people. I hate them anyways. I hear their temples filled with gold. I may as well have a profit on the way home. And this is recorded as one of the darkest moments in Jewish history. In 3 days, he slaughtered 80,000 Jewish civilians, God's people, the family line through whom Jesus Christ would come. He was seeking to eradicate the worship of God, the worship of Jesus, from the earth. He wanted the worshipers of God killed. He wanted the temple of God shut down. He didn't want anyone to be hearing about the coming of Jesus, and he would set himself up as the counterfeit Jesus. He slaughtered women, children. He slaughtered pregnant women. He overtook the temple. Instead of the worship of God, he had a false pagan demonic priest start to worship Zeus, and in the place where lambs were slain, showing Jesus, the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world, all of this was foreshadowing and preparing people for Jesus. He instead took a pig, which was an unclean animal, and had it sacrificed to the demon god Zeus. This was called the abomination. Jesus calls this the abomination that causes desolation. As a demonic, fake, pagan Jesus takes over the temple, sets in a fake demonic priest, and offers a pig as a sacrifice to a demon god, in essence saying, your Jesus is a pig to me, it's desolation. The people of God flee.
Hey, howdy, Pastor Mark here. Thanks for viewing the clip. And if you'd like the entire sermon, we've got it ready to go.